Hello everyone, and welcome to 2018. That's kind of get used to saying that, can't we? We're into a new year now, and looking forward to a great start of ministry over these next several weeks. 2017 was a wonderful year for us here at Dayspring. We got to see God do some really cool things, and through the ministry here, be a part of several different aspects of ministry in different locations, but also seeing God move us forward here in what he has for us to do in carrying out his mission in the greater Mobile area. And we're excited about what 2018 is going to hold for us as well. Now, over the next several weeks in our own campus small groups, we're going to be doing some things that will hopefully help us in that and help us prepare for that, as well as in a new sermon series that we're going to be beginning this month as well. And you'll be hearing more about that on Sunday. We're calling it Collective Wisdom. Now, in looking at these lessons that we're going to be doing over the next 5 weeks or so, the format, as you've already noticed, it's a little bit different. We're going to be using some materials from Lifeway for these 5 to 6 weeks here. And so because of that, the format that you've got is a little different. And I know that several of you have had questions about that, and we've interacted a little bit with some of you. So what I wanted to do was take a few minutes in this video, maybe kind of talk about that format a little bit, maybe helping you as you work your way in preparing for to facilitate, lead, teach an on-campus group on Sunday. But I'm also attaching to this email a little bit different format for you as a leader facilitator. You may find that format more comfortable for you. It is similar, or more similar, I should say, to what we've used in the past. So basically, what you're going to do is you're getting 3 different types of materials in your hand. You're going to have this format that I'm sending today, which is more of a format of similar to what we've used in the past. You're going to also receive a format that's a lot different. That's the one you've already received. It's a leader's guide there for what we're going to be studying. And then there's also a participant guide or a personal study guide. That would be for those who are part of your on-campus group there. Now, in that, we're not going to have those available because we're only using these materials for a short period of time, and you have to buy the whole 13-week study in that. And we just didn't think it was prudent to do that. If for some reason you say your group really needs those or wants those, you please let me know, and we'll figure out a way to get some of those into your hands for your group there. But the reason I'm including that in the material you're receiving is there's some references that are made into your leader's guide to that. And so that will help you kind of see what they're talking about, and also maybe some supplemental material for you in preparing. Now, one other thing before I jump into the format itself, as we go through this lesson, they're going to make references especially to 2 different places in that personal study guide that might be helpful for you to have that in front of you, or for your group members to have that in front of you. And so we're going to provide that in a handout that will be available to you Sunday morning for your small group members. You'll receive that as well as an attachment in this email. And this handout is going to have in it the assessment for sons and daughters that is referred to on page 110 and in the material. And it's also going to have on it a summary that's referred to on page 112 about what are the benefits that we enjoy as part of God's family. So we're going to go ahead and provide that for you. That'll be in a handout. And part of that handout, too, will be similar to what we've had in the past, where we've kind of got an opportunity for you to break into some small group clusters or clusters within your own small group, or depending on how you do it, if you just use that as a application moment for your small group, you'll have those questions you use for the whole group, or you can break into separate clusters for that. Okay? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. If not, you certainly give me a call, send me an email, whatever, contact me in some way, and we will respond and seek to make sure we're all tracking together. All right, I appreciate so much what you do, and appreciate your flexibility as we work through these lessons in this way over the next several weeks. Now, what I want to do is take a moment and come to the material. We're on session 2, by the way. I know some have asked questions about that. Is session 2 the lesson that we're supposed to have for Sunday, January 7? And the answer is yes, it is. So session 2 is what we're looking at. It's called I Am a Child of the King. And what we're doing here is we're going to be looking at the big idea of that Jesus makes us all members of his family, and some of what it means to be part of God's family in that way there. And we're going to be looking at Galatians chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. Now, in this material that you've already received, that is going to have for the Leader's Guide, and I will include copies of all of this again as an attachment, and maybe and what I will do is I'll label them a little bit better to help us stay consistent. I'm going to refer to this as the Leader's Guide, and that will be what we're talking about here in this video, and you'll see that attachment here as well. Now, the Leader's Guide basically is set up this way. On the page 105 and 106, you kind of get an overview of what we're going to be talking about. Page 107 kind of gives you an introduction to that. Then starting on page 108, we began to move into studying the Bible, or we were often referred to it as unpacking the text. And you will notice there what you have is like page 108 is kind of walking you through how to teach that passage. Page 109 is commentary on that passage. And you'll see that pattern repeated throughout the material. One page will be kind of how to teach or facilitate the discussion of these verses. For example, Galatians 4, 1 through 3 is on page 108. Then there is a commentary on page 109 of verses 1 through 3. And so you have those working together in that way. Now, one thing to note there on page 108, down to towards the end of that page, it says guide. It says continue with the theme of sonship by asking a volunteer to read aloud the final paragraph on page 87 of the personal study guide. What I would suggest there is that you look at that on page 87 of that personal study guide, summarize that thought, and use that as part of your transition into the next section there, which is, of course, on page 110 and 111. 110 is a discussion or leads a discussion for verses 4 to 5. 111 is the commentary for verses 1, 4 through 5. Now, you're going to be looking at two things in this particular section which are important. One is talking about the law, and understanding that what the law does is it points out that it shows us why we need to be saved, because it shows us our sin. It reveals our sinfulness to us. This law cannot save us. That was not its purpose. Its purpose was to show us the need for the Savior. And then we're talking about adopting, and that we're adopted into God's family. A very loaded term there, that word adoption, because it talks about how we are brought into God's family. We're not naturally born into God's family. We're born into this world. We are born again into God's family, and part of that is being adopted into his family. And the adoption aspect is that God has chosen us, God accepts us, God loves us, and God gives us all the rights and privileges of his being one of his children. And you're going to be looking at quite a bit of that in this passage there. Now, I referred to earlier, we're going to give you a handout which has this assessment here of sons and daughters. So you will have that, your group members will have that in front of them. So you can use that in that way, or you can write it up on the whiteboard, whichever fits you and the way you prefer to do that there. Now when you come to page 112, again, you have the discussion there to help, or the material to help you lead into a discussion, a teaching, facilitating the material of verses 6 and 7. And on page 113, you have there the commentary for for verses 6 through 7 there. There's some discussion, and that's summarized where it says lead your group members through the main points from page 91 of the Personal Study Guide. Those 3 points we will also have on that handout that I mentioned earlier that your group members can have in front of you as you discuss that together. And then on page 14 you have Live It Out. And that's just some thoughts and wrap-up thoughts there in regards to the lesson there. We're also going to include several discussion questions for an application moment on that handout. So your group will have those in front of them as well, and you can use that in whichever way fits your particular environment, either breaking into smaller groups of 4 to 5 people or doing it as a group as a whole, and helping kind of bring some application aspects into what you've been studying and learning this week. I hope this is helpful for you. I will be providing one of these for you each week. And again, as we're kind of making this a first-time situation for us on Sunday mornings, please feel free to contact me if you got any questions or something's not fitting together for you, and I'll seek to help you in every way that I can. We're looking forward to a great time together as we begin to kick off 2018 this Sunday, and not only in our on-campus small groups, but in our worship times together, our teaching times, and then also on our off-campus small groups as well. I look forward to seeing you Sunday, and again, thank you so much for what you do. And as we move into this new year, it's going to be a great year of helping each of us grow closer to God, learn how to serve Him in a greater way, and how to share the gospel in the places where God has put us. God bless you.